Good morning, children. Today I am going to take the second class, the science period for you. So you know already that previous class I started the lesson number 12, reproduction in plants. This introduction I gave in the normal class only. When you are present, you are coming to the school, that time only I started this lesson. For few sections, I have completed only one section, A3 for I completed this lesson, and remaining for I done half of the lesson. So I am doing this one again for your explanation. It is needed for your class. That's why I am doing it again. And this is there for the annual exam also. That's why you have to concentrate and listen to my explanation. So after my explanation, you read out the lesson, children. That is very important. All the diagrams and points, whatever I am writing on the board, that you take down in your one book, and from that also we can ask the questions which are going to come in the annual exam. Okay, so last class I done the little bit about the say asexual type of reproduction. That is first type I already done in the class only when you are coming offline. Okay, that is vegetative propagation, about I explained in the class only for all the children. So in the last class I done the other method of asexual reproduction, that is budding method. So budding, second method, fragmentation, third method, and spore formation, fourth method. Like that, four also I explained in detail along with the diagram. So what is budding, what is spore formation, that all it is there in the question answers. Already I gave you the question answers, children. So in that first main only all these definitions are there. So for the test I gave what is budding. So many children left that answer. Without studying all the question answers, you cannot go through the question, you cannot answer for all the questions, children. You have to learn each and everything, what I gave in the notes. At least notes, if you are not studying the textbook, at least notes you have to go through, no? Where that question is there, from where the ma'am is asking us the questions, that you have to search and find out and have to write the answer. Understood? So what is the budding? Direct questions, short answer for it is not given. Of course, it is asked for the long answer. You have not seen that one, and many of you not written what is budding. If you not answered that one, you will be losing the marks. So that is also carried for the essay too, is it not? So we will add up everything and we will find out the percentage, and we will find out the what is the total marks attained by you in the 7th standard. So there you will get some less percentage or less marks. You will feel bad, is it no? So that's why I am telling you have to score the good marks, means you have to read each and every corner. At least once you have to go through with all the question answers what I gave in the notes. Understood? We are doing our work, children. You have to do yours promptly. You are not I am not telling to mug up and write. So you understand the concept, what I am telling on the board, that you understand thoroughly, and that you if you recall that once or twice in your mind, it will be fitted in your mind and you can interpret on the paper. That's why I'm telling you, listen properly. See, this online classes will be there for full day. See, full 24 hours it will be. Today 10 o'clock it is started, means next day 10 o'clock, until that the same classes will be going on. So until that half an hour you cannot sit and watch our lessons, children. That is very bad if you are not watching, because every teacher is working same as in the offline how we are teaching. More than that, in the online we are teaching you. Understand? So that's why you have to sit and listen to us. If you are not understanding anywhere, you repeat that one and listen carefully. And then you read the textbook so that you'll understand the concept thoroughly. And whatever may be the question, you can write the answer. Okay, so you need not to search where is the question, where is the answer in the notes. Like that, you need not to worry about when you are writing the answers there. Got it? So now I cannot do all the questions revision as I am doing in the classes. Okay, normal offline class in how we are doing the revision, no? Like that I am not able to do now. That's why I am telling you every day what is the lesson is going on. That lesson, that part of the lesson, hardly 1 or 2 pages only we are explaining each day part. So that part, only 2 pages, you have to read. Once you be thorough in that concept means, there is no need to mug up. And again you have to be reading like that. There is no thing will be there. Okay, so you need not to worry about the exam. So if you are reading every day. So now coming to the today's class. Okay, so we have, I have clearly explained about the asexual type of reproduction. Today I am going to explain about the sexual reproduction. So what is sexual reproduction? Already you know, children. Sexual reproduction is done by using the seeds. Okay, so with the seeds we are going to produce the new individuals. That is, we'll call it as sexual reproduction. Got it? So what is sexual reproduction? We saw. So what are the organelles are there related to it? What are the things are there in a plant which are related to sexual reproduction? That all we'll study in this topic, in the today's topic. You know that, so in a plant body, we will bifurcate the plant body parts into 2 types. One is the vegetative part, another one is the reproductive part. So vegetative part means root, stem, leaf, bud. So these all we will call it as a vegetative part. Only the flower we will consider as the reproductive part of a plant body. So now let us study about the flower and its part. So flower we will consider it as a reproductive part. So flower is the reproductive part. So we'll call it as a sexual reproduction. That means by using the flower, this reproduction is done. Flower parts are included in this type of reproduction. Okay, so that's why we'll study about the flower and its internal parts, how it is able to produce the seeds, fruits will be coming, and how it is forming with what and all, what is the process it is going on inside the flower to form the seed there. So that all steps we are going to study in sexual reproduction. Okay, so have you seen the flower? Just one example I am giving you. If you, everybody's house, we are having the hibiscus flower. Okay, so that flower you have to open and see the inner parts of the flower. Okay, see that flower is having the center part like this part. Okay, what I drawn here, the center part like this, the outer parts. So to this part, the small yellow colored things are there. Okay, they are like small petals. Okay, so those things will be, if you extend and see under the microscope, they will be in this shape. So this one we will call it as a pistil, and this structure part we will call it as a stamen part. Okay, so these two are very important. See, first when you see the flower down, there will be a green colored part. So any flower you see that is having a stalk like this. So this is the stalk of the flower and this will be green in color. So then we will get like this small petals. Sorry, these we will call them as the sepals. So they are green in color. Got it? So these meant for protection of the inner layers. Okay, so here in a flower, each layer we will call it as a whorl. So one whorl, the first whorl of the flower is this one, green color it is. Okay, we will call it as a sepal. Okay. So after that, you can see the bright colorful petals. Okay, they are very bright and very attractive look for. Okay, so that we will call it as a petal. So these are meant for attracting the insects. Okay, petals are very colorful, bright, and they are having very good fragrance. Why? Because Because of this attraction only, the insects are coming near to it and they want to suck the juice from the flower. Okay, so because they have some benefit in that, that's why they want to attract the insects. That's why these petals are very colorful and brightly colored with the fragrance, good aroma they are having. Okay, you can see the rose petals, how nice color they have, and they have the good fragrance also, very good smell they have. Is it no? Because of that smell only, with that beautiful color only, the insects will be flying around the flowers only. Understand? So here insect also benefited and flower is also benefited. So we will talk about the benefits later. Now this is the second whorl, second layer. Petals are the second layer of the flower. Then you can see in the middle there will be a what I told the pistil part. So this is the pistil part. So this pistil is the female reproductive part. So that will be in the center part. In the center of the flower, there will be a pistil. So this pistil is started with the base. So this base part we will call it as a ovary. Okay, this is the female reproductive part of a flower. We will call it as the pistil. Okay, so this is having the following parts. So this is the ovary. This is the long tube-like structure. We will call it as a style, and this tip round, or it will be a heart shape like that, or any shape maybe. This part, the tip part, that we will call it as stigma. So ovary, style and stigma. So these are all situated on a base. So from here the other two whorls, the sepals and petals, will start from this base. So these all are situated on a stalk. Okay, stick-like structure, we will call it as a stalk of the flower. Okay, so these are the parts of the flower, and so here after this is the central part where the pistil part is there, and so next to it the male part, we will call it as the stamen. It is the male reproductive part of a flower. Okay, so the stamen will be very smaller in size. Of course, we can see with our naked eyes, but when you enlarge and see, it will be having the structure like this. It is having a long stalk-like structure. We will call it as the filament, and it is having a center at the tip lobe-like structure. We will call it as anther. Okay, so this total structure we will call it as a stamen, which is the male reproductive part of a flower. Okay, this you understand, children? This is the main part of the flower, main reproductive part of the flower. We call it as a male part and female part of the flower. These are meant for further processing of the sexual reproduction. So only we are drawing this one, and I am explaining you again and again. Why? Because on these two parts only the sexual reproduction will start. Understand? Now, coming to the activity 12.4. So now I told you have to take the hibiscus flower. Like there are few examples they have given here. Take mustard, China rose, petunia flower. China rose is nothing but hibiscus only. Mustard flower or China rose flower or petunia flower, any one you can take and separate its reproductive parts. Reproductive parts mean this only. Stamen and pistil are, we will call them as a reproductive part. Okay. So these parts you have to segregate and you see what is the shape and size and what is the color, how is the structure, all you see there and find out which are the reproductive part. Okay. In these type of flowers. Okay. That is, and you find the various structure in the reproductive part. Various parts, ovary, style, stigma, how it is. So inside if you cut open, you can see the ovules also, small seed-like structures are there, we will call them as ovules. That is also present inside the ovary. Okay, that all parts you can see very clearly under the microscope. If you just open the hibiscus flower, you can see all these parts which are hidden inside the petals. Understand? So now coming to the other parts like that flowers, all the flowers we are not having both of these structures. If you see the hibiscus flower, it is having this female part also and that male part also. Okay, so but all the flowers are not same. Okay, they are different in their shape and structure. Is it no? So they have different colors, different type of petals. Is it no? So that difference is there. You can see in the reproductive part also. Okay, so this is the reproductive part, female part I told you. So that reproductive part is present in one type of flower and the main part will be present in another flower. Okay, see, same plant only. It may be having both male and female flowers or parts, or it is having only one type of flower, reproductive part maybe it is having. Okay, so if the flowers which contain both the stamen and pistil. See, if your flower is having both the pistil and the stamen, we'll call them as bisexual flower. If both it is there, means we'll call it as bisexual flower. Okay, then only one reproductive part is there, means that we will call it as either the stamen or the pistil. Any one is there in the flower, we will call it as unisexual flower. Did you understand, children, what is bisexual and unisexual flower? See, the flowers which contain either any one of the reproductive part, either the female part or the male part of the flower, it is any one is having, means we will call it as a unisexual flower. If a flower is having both the stamen and the pistil, we will call it as a bisexual flower. Okay, so like this two types will be there. See, all flowers, see, many flowers are there in your garden. Just you go around and pluck one or two types of flowers and find out whether it is a unisexual flower or it is a bisexual flower. You find out and make a list of those unisexual and bisexual flower. Okay, which plant is having like that. So here some examples they give. See, corn, papaya and cucumber, they are unisexual flowers. See, unisexual part, they have given the example as papaya, corn and cucumber. You should not see the fruit. You have to see the flower part. See, papaya flower, corn flower or the cucumber flower. When the plant is grown in the field, you will get the flowers. So that flower, if you open and see, it is having only one of the reproductive cell, one of the reproductive part. So either it is having the stamen or it is having the pistil part. So any one will be there in this type of plant, in this type of flowering plant. Understand? If you get any one of this plant and it is giving out the flower, you open that flower and you can see there is only one reproductive part. Understand? Like that only bisexual for some example they have given. See, bisexual for mustard, rose and petunia. I think rose all are watching that one every day. Okay, so rose, you can see there only one type of reproductive cell will be there, reproductive part will be there. So that you open and see. And if you put the mustard seeds in the soil, the plant will be growing very easily and it is yielding the flowers also. But it is very small flowers. You can open it by the forceps. Each flower part you open and see the reproductive parts. That is also having both the reproductive parts. Okay, so you can see both the reproductive parts in the bisexual flower like pistil and stamen. Okay, so this is the activity you want to find out. By doing the activity, you can find out whether it is a female reproductive part having, or it is having the both the parts like bisexual flower. Okay. Now we'll come to the main part, that is this anther or stigma. We can see both the lobes are in different size and structure. So now we'll come to the each part here. This stamen is having the stalk-like structure. We'll call it as a filament. In this, the upper part, it is, we'll call it as a anther lobe. Okay, so in that anther, the small seed or dusty like things are there. It is a powdery like thing. We'll call it as a pollens. So inside which the pollen grains are present. Pollens are present. Okay. So those are the male reproductive cells. Okay. So male reproductive cells are male gametes, we will call them. See, these pollens are male gametes. Male gametes are pollen grains, we will call them. Okay, so inside the stamen part, see, this is the stamen part, male reproductive part of a flower. So inside the anther lobe, there are small round structures, like a small dusty seeds are present. We'll call them as a pollen grains. These pollen grains, we'll call them as male gametes of a flower. Okay, and coming to this. So this is the pistil part of a plant body, or female reproductive part of a plant body. In the pistil part, there we can see the stigma of the flower. Okay, this is one of the part. See, a pistil consists of stigma, style and ovary. So inside the ovary, there you can see the ovules. Small seed-like structures are there. We will call them as ovules. This also called as female gametes. This is also called as female gametes. Female gametes are egg. Okay. So inside the pistil is having the stigma style ovary like that parts. So inside the ovary, there are small seed-like structures are present. We'll call them as ovules. So those ovules are acting as a female gamete or eggs. Okay. So female gametes are nothing but female reproductive cells. They are. Okay. They are mainly responsible for the formation of fruit and seed. This part only going to change as fruit and seeds. Understand? So that is in sexual reproduction, what happens? This male and female gamete. See, in sexual reproduction, the male and female gamete fuse to form a structure called zygote. Okay, so what is zygote? What is the zygote formation? Means it is a new word to use, zygote. Okay, so now I told about the pollens are the male gametes and ovule is the female gamete. When this ovule and pollen grains are combining together, that means they are fused together and they are going to mix together, no? That stage of sexual reproduction, we will call it as zygote formation. That is a zygote. When both male and female gametes fuse together, we will call that part as a zygote. Okay, so zygote formation, how they are going to fuse together, that we will see in the another topic. We'll call it as a pollination. Understood? So now you can identify what is pollination means, because you studied it from the 4th standard itself. What is pollination? See, in simple words, pollination is nothing but transfer of pollen grains from the stigma of a flower to the, transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. Okay, so these pollen grains are transferred to this part, stigma of the flower. That is what we will call it as a pollination. So there are two types of pollination. One is the self-pollination, another one is the cross-pollination. So let me erase this part. See, already you remember that what is pollination means. See, this is the stigma of the flower and this is the anther lobe. So anther is having the pollen grains in it. Okay, these pollen grains want to shift to the stigma of the flower. Okay, so if the pollen grains are shifting from the pollen anther to the stigma of the same flower, it is, we'll call it as a self-pollination. So same flowering, it is happening in the bisexual flower. So this is the same one flower only, in that both male and reproductive parts are present. Okay, then only the self-pollination can occur. Or in the same plant, for other flower also it can go. Okay, see here, if the pollen grains on the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant, if a plant is having like this only another flower, so this pollen grain can fall to another flower also in the same plant. Okay, so that is what we will call it as a self-pollination. So pollen grain should reach the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant. That we will call it as self-pollination. So now coming to the cross-pollination, second method of pollination. This is the pollen grains want to shift from one flower to the another flower of the different plant. Okay, another plant is there that is having the stigma part. Okay, so that is not having the pollen grains. Okay, so one flower to another flower, another plant for having another flower, no. So that flower for it want to reach. Okay, so that is, we'll call it as cross pollination. So when the pollen of a flower lands on the stigma of a flower of different plant. See, this is the pollen of a flower and it is landing on the stigma of another plant or different plant, for it is going and reaching. This is, we call it as cross pollination. Understood, children? So this is cross pollination. Now we will learn how, when it is reached here, how it will be going to fuse together and it is going to form a zygote. Okay. Now I will erase this self-pollination and the cross-pollination. Now we will come to the last step of this sexual reproduction. So here, this step, after when pollination is over, what happens? Here, on the stigma part, the pollen grain is landed already. Now what will happen? They have to fuse together. See, this is the pollen. Okay, pollen is the male part. Got it? So this is the ovary. So it want to reach to the ovary. So what will happen? Now pollen is here. So what happens when the pollen is sticked on the stigma of the flower? So this is the stigma part. So now the pollen is here. Okay. So this pollen, what happens? After few days, when it is sticked here, because it is sticky, the stigma part is sticky little bit. It is having juicy like thing. That's why it is having a little bit sticky it is. So when the pollen grains, by the some of the agents of weather, it will come and stick to the pollen will come and stick to the stigma of the flower. Then it start to, this outer covering will be ruptured and the inner tube, this pollen grain is there, inner layer, start to develop a tube-like structure. Okay, the tube will pass on to until the style, through the style, and then it will come to the ovary part. So here it is the ovary part. So ovary also, see there, this is the ovary part. See, this tube-like structure is extending. Pollen is extending this tube-like structure and it is passing its all the pollen grains. Okay, so that is what is it is having, no? The pollen grains, that is all passing to the ovary. Okay, so then they will fuse together and form the zygote. So this process of fusion of male and female gamete to form the ovary, we will call it as fertilization. Understood? What is fertilization means? The fusion of male and female gamete. See, this is the male gamete and this is the female gamete. Both are going to combine or fuse together. That process for, we will call it as fertilization. This part for, we will call it as a zygote. So, this is the step, zygote formation, we will call it. Understand? So, this will happen inside the flower. Then, so when this zygote is formed there, it starts to develop there itself. Okay, so here ovule and the pollen grains combine together and the formation of the zygote will start. Then the outer sepal part, petal part, all will fall off. Only this part will start to develop as a fruit. Okay, so then fruit and seeds formation will be there. So how this, after fertilization, the ovary grows into a fruit. Okay, see, this is the ovary. It is growing into a ovary, growing into a fruit. Okay, and here the ovules are there now. So those ovules are growing into seeds. Understand? So the fruit is receiving all the juicy part and pulp part, all it will be storing here, and all these ovules are formed as a seeds inside and the fruit is generated. What is the green color sepal part is there, no? That is left behind here for in few fruits. Okay, and last this part we'll call it as a stalk of the fruit. Okay, that flower is having the last part, no, that has a stalk it will form. Okay, so in this way the fruit and seeds will be formed after the fertilization. So the seeds develop into ovule. The seed contain embryo closed in a protective seed coat. So seeds are having a protective seed coat also. That means covering it is having. When it is scattered or dispersed on the land, it should not be ruptured. The inner containing things, no, that should not be coming out. Like that, it is having a protective coat. Okay. So some fruits will be fleshy and some fruit will be juicy also. Okay. So some, see, you can see the apple, orange like this. They have the juicy in them, fleshy in them. Okay. So like that fruits also we are getting. And some fruits are like a hard fruits we are getting. Those are like almonds and walnuts. Okay. Those are stone fruits we are calling them. Okay. They are hard structures they have. Okay. Walnuts and almost all dry fruits what we are calling, no, they are hard covering structure they have. Okay, so this is the form. This is the last step in the sexual reproduction. Okay, so this sexual reproduction is a very lengthy process. Okay, these are all steps are going on in a plant body, and we doesn't know about it because we cannot see. We are least bothered about what is going on inside the flower. So these are all the things it is going on inside, and you have to study about this in the sexual reproduction. Now, the seeds are formed, how it will be dispersed. See, the seeds which is formed, no, in the same place only, it is not all the plants are generated, is it no? So, what happens if they are falling in one place and all plants are generated, taken germination in that place only? Suppose a mango tree is there, all fruits are falling in that particular area only. Below the tree only, all the fruits are fallen and they have generated germination taken place. Then what will happen? So you can see there will be a scarcity for the food. First, place is not sufficient for them to suck the water, mineral, sunlight, all for scarcity is there. Okay, and food for much food is not getting for all the seeds there. So they will feel some insufficient place and food and sunlight. These are all insufficient for them. So many plants will not germinate only, and after germination also many will die because of lack of water, lack of sunlight, like that will happen. Okay, so that's why these seeds to be dispersed to the all the parts of the soil. Okay, so if they are not dispersed, no, so many plants will not generate only, germinate only, they will die there itself. That's why they have to be dispersed. So for this dispersal, you know already we have the agencies like the wind, water. See, we have the agencies or agents. Wind, water, and air. By these and animals. By these agencies, the seed will be dispersed from one place to another place. Okay, so let us see what are the plants are dispersed by wind. Okay, so few plants are there, they have the feathery seed. Okay, seeds, like suppose in a drumstick. They have given the example of drumstick and maple. The seed is like this. Okay, they have the feathery seed. See, this is a feather. By this feather, it can easily fly in the air current. That's why these seeds are dispersed. And this drumstick, no, when it is dry, it will burst. Okay, at the ridges, no, it will burst open and seeds will be flattering. They will be scattered so many places and they will be carried by wind currents also. So many places they will be dispersed. When the seed is dispersed and falling on the soil, that time, if it is getting good nutrients, suppose good water, sunlight and nutrients in the soil, that all it is getting means it will grow there as a new individual. Okay, so in this way, new plants are generated by the seeds. That is, we can see only in sexual reproduction. Okay, and large quantity of plants can be generated by this. Okay, one plant is growing much number of seeds. Okay, many fruits it is yielding and seeds also many in number. So one tree is grown means there will be thousands of plants can be generated. Okay, that is one of the benefit of this sexual reproduction. Then coming to these two plants also, they have the seeds like this. That is, it is having the wing-like structure. So these we will call them as a wing. So this, by using this wing, okay, this is the maple. Okay, by using this wing, it is able to fly in the air and dispersed and scattered in the atmosphere. So it is falling on different places and then there is no scarcity of food and water and sunlight for this and they can be survived and they can generate themselves and grow as a new plant. Understand? So this is by air. Then we'll see by the water. See, water means some of the plants are there which are having the seeds with the feathers. Suppose in a coconut. Example, here they have given the coconut. So this is by air. Sorry, this is by water. See, the coconut is having the outer ring, fibers are there. On that outer covering as a protective fibers, so that fibers are having lighter in weight and they will be carried by the water currents. Okay, so in many plants are there in the water like lotus, lily and many other plants are there. So their seeds will be carried from one area to another area. Wherever the river is flowing, water is flowing, they will be transferring or dispersing the seeds from one end to the another end, one border to the another border, like that they will be carrying. In this way, dispersal will be done by the water currents also. Understand? Then coming to the other this one, that is the animals. So animals are wandering in search of food, or they want to eat the grass, especially the herbivorous animals. Or when you go, human beings also, when you go around a park, around a walk in a park or in a forest area, you can see some of the seeds are stick to your clothes or stick to your body part only and the skin layer. Like that only, some are having the spiny hooks, spines in their body. Some seeds are spiny hooks on their body, so they will be attached to the body part or plant, another animal body part of the skin or hairy hairs on the animal body. So they will be sticking to the animal body, and wherever those animals are wandering, no, there and all they will disperse these seeds. Okay, so in this way, the animals are also are called as the agents of seed dispersal. Okay. For this example is given xanthium, and one more is urana. So these seeds are dispersed by animals. Okay. So by animals, some are dispersed. Then some seeds are dispersed by, they are burst opening. Okay, so some seeds are like this, castor seeds. Example, burst open in plants called castor, and also balsam. Okay, so these seeds, castor seeds, they have the spines on them. Okay, so these will break open. Sometimes they will break open and the seeds will be coming out from them. They will burst open by the effects of air. See, when they come to the maturity and they will dry, those seeds will dry. You can see wherever the castor plants are there, seeds you be observing when they are healthy way, they are green in color. After a few days, when that seeds will be totally generated, totally grown up, that time they will be drying. That fruit will be drying. Upper part will be peeling off, or it will be burst opening, and black color seeds are they will expel out from the plant body, fruit body. So in that way, the few seeds will be burst opening. That is, we can see in the balsam plant also. Okay, so this is the way in which the dispersal of the seeds is happening. Okay, so some of the seeds are having the hairy seeds. So example, sunflower and the mother, both it is giving. Okay, sunflower and mother, both of them are having hairs on their seeds. Okay, so because of these hairs, they will be easily floating in the air and they can be carried to miles together. So after a kilometer also we can see those type of plants because of this hairy seeds. So since they have the hairy or this like wings they have, by that only they are able to fly in the air and they can be carried to the one country to the another country, one state to another state, or so many long distances they can take and travel. Okay, so in this way, the seed dispersal we can see in the few types of seeds. Any one of the agent is responsible for this. Okay, so this is the formation of new plant by sexual reproduction by the seeds. Understand? So here ends this lesson. You go through, children. And this lesson for I gave already question answers, all the things I gave in your notes. So in the next class, from new lesson I will start. You be watching the online. Thank you, Ananda.